Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, as Muslim, we're supposed and we must learn and study the life of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. But in addition, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to learn and understand the life of another prophet. The prophet of Allah, Musa alayhi salam, Moses. How do we know that? The story of Sayyidina Musa, when you read the Quran, it's the longest story in the Quran. His experience with the children of Israel, Bani Israel. And first, let's understand what is the word Israel means. Who is Israel? Israel is prophet of Allah, Yaqub, Jacob. He's the grandson of Sayyidina Ibrahim, alayhi salam. And his nickname was Israel. That was another name. What does Israel means? Israel is two words, Israel. And in the Hebrew language, it means the servant of Allah. That's what Israel means. So the children of Israel are the descendant of Sayyidina Yaqub. And that story of Sayyidina Musa and the children of Israel is mentioned in 50 chapters in the Quran. Everywhere, the story of Sayyidina Musa and the children of Israel. And the name of Sayyidina Musa is mentioned in the Quran 136 times. No other prophet was mentioned even close to that number. 136 times. All of those are hints from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He wants us to understand and learn the life of the Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And Sayyidina Musa has been honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala among all the prophets. He has been honored. He was one of the few that spoke directly to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it says in the Quran, قَالَ يَا مُوسَى إِنِّي اصْطَفَيْتُكَ عَلَى النَّاسِ بِرِسَالَاتِي وَبِكَلَامِي. He said, "O Musa, I have chosen you above the people with my messages and with my words." Only 3 human beings spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only 3. The first one is Sayyidina Adam. When he was in the heavens, Allah spoke to him directly. The second one is Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Allah spoke to him many times. And the third one is our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in his trip in the Mi'raj, the ascension, when he went beyond the 7 heavens and he spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. And then another thing that's distinctive about Sayyidina Musa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي. And I cast down upon you love from me, and that you might be brought up under my eye. What does it mean? Allah loved Sayyidina Musa. And we know from the hadith and from the sunnah that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves somebody, He puts the love of that person in the heart of every human being. Everybody who sees him loves him. Everybody. So that's one of the gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Sayyidina Musa. And the other thing, He said, وَلَا تُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي. You be brought up under my eye. Allah was watching on Sayyidina Musa, watching how he's going to be raised, how he's going to grow up, to make sure that he is ready for his mission when he becomes a prophet later on. The other thing that's distinctive about Sayyidina Musa, he is one of the prophets that are called in the Quran Ulul Azm, the prophet of strong will. And that's only 5 prophets who are the strong-willed prophets. The first one is Sayyidina Noah. The second one is Sayyidina Ibrahim. And the third one is Sayyidina Musa, Moses. And the fourth one is Sayyidina Isa, Jesus. And the fifth one is our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So those are the distinct, that's the best of the prophets, all of them, the top of them, special category. And then let's look at the background. What was happening at the time the Musa alayhi salam was born? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا يستضعف طائفة منهم يذبح أبناءهم ويستحيي نساءهم إنه كان من المفسدين. Surely Pharaoh exalted himself in the land and made its people sects, weakening, oppressing, a group among them, killing their sons and letting their females live. Surely he was one of the corruptors. Sayyidina Musa was born in Egypt, and Egypt had pharaohs. And there was a pharaoh there. He was taking advantage, committing injustice, oppressing the children of Israel. He was using them as slaves, all the children of Israel. And what happened? The Pharaoh had a dream. The dream was that a little baby that's going to be born from one of the people of children of Israel, that baby is going to grow up and take away his kingdom from him. And he got worried. He brought the priest, he brought everybody to consult. And then he came to the decision, here is what I'm going to do. Every boy that's born for the children of Israel, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill him. Every boy. Girls, I'm going to let live. But boys are going to be killed. All the boys. And how did he do that? He had his army, his police, go everywhere. And whenever they see a woman that's pregnant, they keep track of her. They keep coming every time until she gives birth, and they check. If it's a boy, they take the boy, kill him. If it's a girl, they let the girl live. So just imagine Sayyidina Musa is going to be born in this time. And he's going to be born a poor pregnant woman who has 2 children. Her husband's name is Imran. And I want to make sure you don't get confused between Imran, the father of Sayyidina Musa, and the chapter in the Quran that's called Ala Imran. Ala Imran in the Quran, that's basically the father of Sayyida Maryam, the mother of Jesus alayhi salam. So don't confuse the two. There is like more than 1,000 years between the two. Just happened that both of them have the same name. And that woman had 2 children. One of them is a girl. Her name was Maryam. And the other one was a boy called Harun, Aaron. They were a very poor family. Very poor. What the lesson we can learn from that? Some people think, oh, I don't have the right family, so I'm not going to be able to accomplish a lot in life. Allah is giving us a message. Where you are when you are born has nothing to do where you can be. Whether you're from a poor family, you are destined to great things. Don't let the past determine your future. That's what Allah is telling us. You're from a poor family, you can be the leader. He was a messenger, and he came from a poor family. So don't let your background hold you back. Never. And then the mother of Musa alayhi salam gave birth. So Allah is saying, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى أُمِّ مُوسَى أَنْ أَرْضَعِيهِ فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي إِنَّ رَادُّوهُ إِلَيْكِ وَجَعِلُوهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And we inspired to Musa's mother, breastfeed him. Then when you fear for him, cast him into the river, throw him in the river. And do not fear nor grieve, don't be sad. Surely we will bring him back to you and make him one of the messengers. We have to pay attention. The mother of Sayyidina Musa is not a prophet. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired to a non-prophet, it's not that Jibreel came down and talked to her. No. He puts in her heart a strong feeling that she's 100% convinced this is what she's going to do. No hesitation. That's how Allah can put in your heart His message to you. You feel, that's why people in Muslims, we do istikhara. We ask Allah for guidance when there is something. He puts in our heart a direction where we should go. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired to the mother of Musa is 2 commands, 2 orders, 2 restrictions, and 2 glad tidings, 2 great news. The first command was breastfeed him. Why? so he can recognize her milk later on, and we're going to see that. He can recognize her milk. The second command was, if you fear for him, throw him in the river. Put him in a box, throw him in the river. And this, if you think about it, if Allah didn't put in the heart of a mother that strong feeling, no way a mother can throw her child in a river. No way. You're talking about a big chance of death. If the Pharaoh soldier catch the boy, maybe she can escape. Maybe she can run away. Possibility she may run away. Compared to a guaranteed death, you're going to throw your baby in the river. And the Nile River has very strong current. And at the time was full of crocodiles. And then you don't know where the current is going to take the baby. Maybe it's going to push the baby toward the sea, or maybe push it to a shore, and nobody's going to see the baby, and then it's going to starve from hunger and thirst. Guaranteed death. But no hesitation. And then the two restrictions that Allah said, two things that you should not do. The first one, do not fear. And the second one, do not be sad. And then he gave her two good news. The first good news, we will return him back to you. And the second good news, and we will make him one of the messengers. Look at the beauty. Allah gave her all of them, so she can have the confidence and the comfort to do it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أن أقذفيه في التابوت فاقذفيه في اليم فليلقيه اليم بالساحل. Throw him into the chest, a box, then throw him into the river, then the river shall throw him on the shore. When you read this, to me, my imagination tells me the soldiers of the Pharaoh are at the door. It sounds everything one after the other. So throw him in the chest, throw him in the river. You can see, things are moving fast. There is no time. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the river where to throw him, where to take him. Sometimes we wonder, we say, this is, my problem. There is no way there is a solution. Every creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a soldier of Allah. The river was a soldier of Allah. The river knew exactly how fast to go, where to put Sayyidina Musa, exactly at the location. So there is no impossible with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever you have a problem, there is no impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to learn from the story of Sayyidina Musa. And then the river put him in front of the palace of the Pharaoh, right on the shore of the Pharaoh. So the wife of the Pharaoh, her name was Asya. She saw him. So what she said, لا تقتلوه عسى أن ينفعنا أو نتخذه ولدا. Do not kill him. Maybe he will be useful to us, or we may take him for a son. You remember I said earlier that Allah put love on Sayyidina Musa. Everybody that sees him loves him. So the wife of Pharaoh, she saw him, she loved him. Don't kill him. Maybe he's going to be one of our children. He's going to be my son. So keep him. And then the mother of Sayyidina Musa, she threw her baby in the river. She's not comfortable. Still, she has the strong conviction that nothing harm is going to happen to him. But she wants to know what happened to her child. So she called her daughter, Maryam, and asked her, walk next to the shore and keep an eye on the box and see what's going to happen. She didn't send Arun, the brother, the son, because she's afraid they are killing boys. So let's keep the boy. We'll send the girl. So the girl kept watching the box, and she saw the box being picked up by the servant of the Pharaoh's wife, the queen. And what happens? Allah says, وحرمنا عليه المراضع من قبل فقالت هل أدلكم على أهل بيت يكفلونه لكم وهم له ناصحون. And we made an order, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he refused to suck any foster mother before. So she said, shall I point out to you the people of a house who will take care of him for you and look after him in a good manner? You remember we said, that the order of Allah to the mother of Musa, breastfeed him. When they took Sayyidina Musa, they brought women who had babies to breastfeed him. He refused. Every woman they brought, he refused. Never accepted them. Because Allah had a plan. Then the sister of Sayyidina Musa, Maryam, went to them and said, can I point out to you a house, a family that can breastfeed him and raise him up and take care of him, and they are going to teach him good manners? They were desperate. The baby is going to die. They said yes. So Allah is saying, فرددناه إلى أمه كي تقر عينها ولا تحزن ولتعلم أن وعد الله حق ولكن أكثرهم لا يعقلون. So we returned him to his mother, that she might be comforted and not grieve, and that she might know that the promise of Allah is true, and most of them do not know. This is a message for us. Allah is saying the promise of Allah is true. Some of us think and they say, if I give charity, my money is going to be less. The promise of Allah is true. Allah said your money is going to increase. Trust the promise of Allah. Some people say, I have difficulty, things are going to get worse. Allah said after difficulty will come ease. Trust Allah. The promise of Allah is true. The problem is, as he said in here, but most of them do not know. Most of us, we don't have the strong belief that the promise of Allah is true and it's going to happen. There is not maybe, it's true, it will happen. So trust Allah, the promise of Allah. And if you read that part of the story of Sayyidina Musa, Allah is teaching us that there is a law. The law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a formula. And the formula is very simple. Do everything you can, add to it. Trust Allah, and the answer will be, He is going to give you victory, and He's going to protect you, and whatever you need, He's going to take care of you. It's very simple. That's the formula of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do your part, trust Allah, and everything is going to be great. That's what the mother of Sayyidina Musa did. She did everything she can, trusted Allah, and things turned out to be perfect. Great. Now Sayyidina Musa is being raised in the palace of Pharaoh as a prince. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him be brought up by the Pharaoh? For several reasons. Allah wanted to develop his personality as a leader. And being brought up as a prince, number one, it taught him that he is very well educated. A prince, they bring the best people to educate him because he's a prince. Number two, he was physically very strong because the family of the Pharaoh, all the time they're doing sports, they are very well fed, they eat very good food, so they are very strong and healthy. And Musa was an extremely strong person. Number three, that he had dignity and pride. He was not afraid of anything. He's fearless because he's raised as a prince. He can stand up in front of Pharaoh and talk to Pharaoh and all of that. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of any human being. That's why he was brought up in the palace of Pharaoh. The wife of Pharaoh, Asya, allowed Musa to visit his mother. He didn't know it's his mother. She was the one breastfeeding him. But as he grew up, he allowed him to go and continue to visit that house. So it developed a relationship between him and his sister, Maryam, and his brother Harun, Aaron. It developed that relationship. Eventually, the mother of Sayyidina Musa told him that I am your mother, but don't tell anybody, keep it as a secret. But that made him hate inside himself injustice. He cannot go in front of everybody and say, this is my mother. And he cannot do anything. He see the children of Israel being persecuted, mistreated. People, the boys are being killed and used as slaves. He hated injustice. Then when he started to come to be a mature age, around 30 years old, Allah is telling us another story about him. ودخل المدينة على حين غفلة من أهلها فوجد فيها رجلين يقتتلان هذا من شيعته وهذا من عدوه فاستغاثه الذي من شيعته على الذي من عدوه فوكزه موسى فقضى عليه. And he entered the city at a time when its people were not watching. In the afternoon, people take a nap. Countries in the Mediterranean basin, people afternoon they take a nap. So he walked in the afternoon, and people were sleeping. And he found there were two men fighting. One of his party, one of the children of Israel, and the other of his enemies. He called the Egyptian enemies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they are not believer. They worship Pharaoh. The man of his party asked him for help against his enemy. So Musa struck him with his fist and killed him. Musa was so strong, just one punch killed that Egyptian. Now Musa is in a panic mode. قال ربي إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له. He said, my Lord, I have wronged myself, so forgive me. So he forgave him. A message to all of us. We are going to all do wrong. This is the Prophet of Allah. He killed somebody, did something wrong. But what he did, he said, Allah forgive me. You do something wrong, ask Allah for forgiveness. He will forgive you. That's what he's telling us. I will forgive you. And the other thing that from that story that we can learn, Sayyidina Musa is telling us, if you witness injustice, be fair, do something. You cannot see that Egyptian was beating up the one of children of Israel. He was beating him up. You cannot say, it's none of my business. Well, I don't like to get involved. This is consistent with what the Prophet ﷺ is ordering us to do by saying, whoever amongst you sees an evil, he must change it with his hand. If he's unable to do so, then with his tongue. If he's unable to do so, then with his heart. And that is the weakest form of faith. So as a Muslim, whenever you see injustice, you cannot walk away. You cannot. You have to do something. And if you can do it with your hand, then you have to do it. You cannot say, I'm going to do it with my tongue. It's not going to be accepted. It's not going to be accepted to say, I rejected it in my heart. Allah is saying you have to do it in that order. If you can do it with your hand, you do it. If you cannot do it with your hand, somebody is big or whatever, you cannot do it, then with your tongue. And if you cannot do it, then with your heart. In that order. So we learn from Sayyidina Musa that whenever you see injustice, don't walk away. Do something. Be fair. The Pharaoh and his people started to investigate. What's happening? Who killed that Egyptian? We want to know. He went to the Pharaoh and he told them, I know who killed him. It is Musa. And by the way, he's not only his one who killed him, he is one of the children of Israel. So now the Pharaoh is extremely mad that he raised in his house one of the slaves, and that slave killed an Egyptian. So he made an order to kill Musa. And the soldiers went out looking for Musa. So a man came running. He heard that. He heard the order. He came running to Sayyidina Musa and told him, the Pharaoh made an order to kill you. So you need to leave right now. And Sayyidina Musa immediately didn't even go to talk to his mother or his brother, took off, ran away to the desert. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَخَرَجَ مِنْهَا خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبْ قَالَ رَبِّي نَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. So he escaped from there, fearful and watchful. He said, my Lord, save me from the unjust people. Look at the situation. The prince, the one that's fearless, doesn't care about anybody, strong, all of that, scared, being chased, and running in the desert. Doesn't have time to tell anybody what he's doing. He just escaped, otherwise they're going to kill him. And he took a trip that's more than 600 miles on foot. He didn't have a chance even to get a camel or a horse or anything, on foot. So when the soldiers of Pharaoh came, people told them, we saw him taking off in the desert. They went after him in the desert and they saw his footstep. They didn't pursue him. They knew, you go into the desert, no way you're going to live. You're dead. So they assumed he's going to be dead. In all that situation, the belief of Sayyidina Musa in Allah was never shaken. He was not a prophet yet, but his belief in Allah never shaken. He didn't say, why me? Why do I have to have all those problems? Some of us do that when we get tested, but not Sayyidina Musa. And he took a trip toward a city called Madian. Madian is in north of Saudi Arabia, south of Palestine. And he took the trip for 600 miles. The message we have here, even prophets get tested. So if Allah tests you with something, don't be upset. Don't be angry at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the prophets are tested. And why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send him to Madian? Because in Madian there was a prophet. His name is Shu'aib. Prophet of Allah, Shu'aib alayhi salam. And Allah wanted him to be educated on the hands of Sayyidina Shu'aib. We have to remember, sometimes we see things are really dark, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have great plans for every one of us. The problem is we give up. If you don't give up, Allah has great plans for you. Just be patient. It's right around the corner. It's right a few steps after when you give up. So don't give up. Be patient. Allah has great plans for every one of us. He arrived at Madian and he saw two girls standing on the side with their sheep, and the shepherd, there is a well, and the shepherd there, the men are standing, getting water for the sheep, all of that, and chatting and talking, and the girls are standing on the side. They can't get water for the sheep. So Sayyidina Musa walked to them. He said, what is your problem? Why are you standing there? They said, our father is old, and we cannot get our sheep to get water for our sheep until the men finish. The law of the world, the strong doesn't care about the weak. So Sayyidina Musa, we know Sayyidina Musa, he hates injustice and he is strong. So he went in and pushed the shepherds and got water for the girls and gave them water for the sheep until he gave them all of the water they needed, and all the sheep they drank and then walked away. Some Muslim extremists, some people, they tell you men should not talk to women, and some tell you women should not talk to men. It's haram. It's all of that. Sayyidina Musa is telling us it's not haram. As long as you talk to the other sex or the other gender with respect and dignity, there is nothing, and with decency, there is nothing wrong with that. Sayyidina Musa found the problem, solved it, and he walked away. He didn't stand there and say, can you give me your cell phone number? He didn't say, can you friend me on Facebook? No. You do your part. See somebody need help, help. Male or female. And walk away. Respect the other person. Allah saying, فَسَقَ لَهُمَا ثُمَّ تَوَلَّى إِلَى الظِّلِّ فَقَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتُ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. So he watered their flocks for them. Then he went back to the shade and said, my Lord, I am in need of whatever good that you may send down to me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this story, in the middle of the misery, in the middle of greatest difficulty, he didn't forget to help. He didn't. With all the difficulty, he didn't forget to help. We all keep saying that we need Allah to help us. We keep saying we would like Allah to send us to paradise. But what have we done to deserve that? How many people in your life have you helped? How many? This is your door to that. Use whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, whatever little or a lot Allah gave you to help people. If you're sick, help other, Allah will help you. If you have financial difficulty, help other, Allah will help you. If you have a job problem, help other, Allah will help you. But don't sit and do nothing. And the Prophet ﷺ told us, Allah will always help a servant as long as the servant helps his brother.